Welcome back to the Calgary Olympic Oval Canada Cup #2. Women's 500 meters set to go here in just a few minutes. Gavin Day and Leo Landry on the call here. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the men's 500 meters. And on the women's side, 25 pairs as well. Leo, so to set this one up, is it another sort of young group of skaters looking to make some big steps forward?
Absolutely. This competition here this weekend is split into two distinct competitions, the Canada Cup #2 competition and then the Canadian Championships, which is also doubling as the Olympic selections. So these skaters coming up here are in the Canada Cup section, meaning that they will be aiming to crack into that elite group of skaters who will be racing later on this afternoon.
And the second Canada Cup, the first one last month in Quebec City. Looking over some of these names there, number of the top 10 and top 12 who are here back for this one, looking to get a better time indoors compared to Quebec City, the outdoor one. And looking at the first pair, we have Gabrielle Sanson, who finished 6th at the last Canada Cup, against Won Son Hee from Alberta.
Clean start off the line for both skaters. Sanson in the inner lane, Son in the outer. As they come across the line, it is tight through 100 meters. Hee-Won Son leading the way. Sorry, Sanson leading the way, 11:39, 11:42 for Son. Close race.
Very close. We'll see if Son can get a bit of a draft there. You mentioned that you can feel that little tug if you get it in the right stretch.
The advantage if the skater with a faster start starts in the outer lane, and it looks like Hee-Won Son took advantage of that slight draft to pull away a slight lead through the last 100 meters.
Coming at the line, 41:21 for Son, 41:62 for Sanson. And as that is the first pair, those are the times to beat. Quick changeover here. Once again, the 500-meter pair is coming quickly. Second pair, Sarah Spence on the inner lane. Caroline Gingras from Quebec, 4th place at the Canada Cup last month in Quebec City. Sarah Spence, I assume one of the number of Spence skaters we have out there.
She's the youngest of the Spence sisters.
This one's going to be a close opening 100 meters as they come up to get the bell. Stride for stride, just about 11:48 Gingras, 11:59 for Spence.
Caroline Gingras chasing a personal best of 40.18 as they cross over in the backstretch. Gingras moving into the inner lane. It's going to be tight.
Going to be a very close stretch down inside 100 meters to go. Looks like Gingras has a little bit of an inch, but here comes Spence pouring it on. It's going to be close at the line. Spence will take it. 40:76, 41:08 for Gingras, and those are the two fastest times.
Sarah Spence just missing her personal best with that race as we now move on to the next pair. This is Madison Pierman in the inner lane, Brooklyn McDougall in the outer, both skaters from Alberta.
McDougall 3rd at the Canada Cup last month. Pierman 5th. It's could be another exciting pairing off here.
Skaters are off the line. Opening 100 meters. The goal here is to pick up as much speed as fast as they can.
Close opening 100 meters. Both skaters almost stride for stride. Looking at that, 11:38, 11:30, 0.08 of a second. They have the fastest opener so far.
McDougall will have to hold that tight last inner corner. Come around, and she does a good job of it powering out of there, but it's Pierman in the outer lane with the slight lead. In through the finish line, kicking her final time. 39.84, McDougall, 40 flat.
You mentioned the 100 meters, how important it is. You see some are a little bit more upright than others, a lot more lower down. What's the ideal opening looking like in a 500 meters?
It's somewhere in between the two. Usually in the opener, the skaters will look a little bit higher up than they do throughout the rest of the lap. It's very difficult to move your feet quick when everything's balled up in a tight position. But if the skaters stand straight up, they lose all of their power moving up vertically in the air as opposed to moving forwards. So you'll watch them slowly move their body position downwards over the first 100 meters.
Fourth pair on the track now. Kira Pulser from Alberta, Beatrice Lamarche from Quebec. Lamarche second at the last month's Canada Cup. And it's Pulser off to an 11:01 start. Lamarche 11:21.
As they move into the final corner, Pulser has the lead, but Lamarche gaining ground. 100 mètres à faire pour les deux athlètes. C'est Pulser qui mène. Son temps à la ligne, 39,83, 40.02 pour Beatrice Lamarche. So Pulser with a 39.83 took that race.
Pulser taking it by, now moves into the lead by 1/100th of a second over Pierman. Very close between the top four, all within a couple tenths of a second. There you go. You see the leaderboard right now. Within 0.2 of a second are the top four. Next pair on the track, Taylor White on the inner from Ontario, 9th at the Canada Cup last month. And on the outer, Alexa Scott, who was 10th, I believe, from Manitoba.
It looks like we have a false start. So Taylor White in the inner lane, jumping the gun. The skaters will regroup and start again.
And as you mentioned, it's charged to both of them, so now both living dangerously.
The starting sequence in long track speed skating is go to the start, ready, and then the gun goes off. Sometimes skaters get a bit ahead of themselves and twitch or jump ahead at the line.
This time they are away cleanly from the looks of things.
As they are off, Alexa Scott in the outer lane, taking it to her pair. Opening 100 meters. 11.70 for a Scott. Taylor White, 11.78.
Chasing her down the back stretch there. Scott trying to close the gap as she moves into the inner lane on White. This one couldn't be another very tight race. We've had a few great pairs so far. This one looks like it's going to be no different as they both round the corner. Looks like it's Scott with a bit of a lead right now. White trying to chase her down as they come to the line. Scott will take the pair. Actually, tie, 41.68. Looks like there's a last little reach from Taylor White.
They are tied to the 100th. Taylor White and Alexa Scott. 4,000ths of a second separating the two.
As we move on quickly to the next pair, Rose La Liberté Roy on the inner, Connie Capac on the outer from Alberta. La Liberté was 8th at the Canada Cup last month.
Bon départ pour les deux athlètes. Through 100 meters. Temps d'ouverture. 11.59 pour Rose La Liberté Roy. Connie Capac, 11.69. Crossover on the backstretch. Those both skaters moving their legs very quick, swinging both arms. Everything fires in the 500 meter. It's such a short race.
1/10 separated them after the first 100 meters coming down the line. This one's going to be another close one as well. K-Pac on the inner. La Liberté Roy will take it on the outer, 41.44. K-Pac 42.03, 8th and 12th places so far.
C'est un temps personnel pour Rose La Liberté Roy. Excellente course pour elle. We now move on to our next pair. Dans la prochaine paire, Gabrielle Gelonec du Québec in the inner lane. Una Lovell from BC in the outer.
Got all aspects of the BC flag there. The blue, the yellow, the red, the white.
False start in this pair. So they will line up and start again.
Thought I saw a little movement on the inner. We'll see who they wave the flag for. Either way, it goes to both of them.
can be surprisingly difficult to keep your skates still on the ice. They are designed to slip and slide.
This time they do get away cleanly. Looks like they were able to
Contestant of the
keep it in
women's
control there.
the ladies 500 meter.
It's going to be a close opening 100 meters as well. 11.47, 11.58 for Jelinek.
Gabriel Jelinek moving into the outer lane. Lovell trying to get a little bit of a draft. She moves into the inner. It's going to be a close race at the finish line as Jelinek comes around the outer lane. She now has the lead. Jelinek mène à la ligne finale. Son temps 41-78. 42-34 for Lovell.
So why you mentioned the difficulties. It's the skates love to slide. Obviously, that's so you see the weird one skate forward, one skate to the side, to try to keep it in place.
Absolutely. Skaters often have the left leg. Well, some skaters start opposite, but usually the left leg facing forwards. So their first step is very quick and immediate. All the power coming from the back leg, which is planted perpendicular to the direction of travel.
Sierra Johnson from Ontario, Olivia Moyes from Saskatchewan. Very close opening between the two of them. 11.65, 11.70, 5/100ths of a second separating each other.
As the skaters move down the backstretch, they will be trying to stay low, looking for that 90-degree knee bend. The lower the skaters' legs are, the longer their stride length, the more aerodynamic they are.
Johnson trying to hang on to their lead as she approaches line. She is going to take the pair. 41.76, 42.52. Good enough for 12th and 16th places, respectively.
Good race for both skaters as we move on to our 9th pair.
Danielle Dumichel from New Brunswick going up against Laurence Paquet from Quebec.
Both skaters line up at the start. Clean off the line as they rocket down the first 50 meters. Looks like Laurence Paquet va mener dans les premiers 100 mètres. Son temps d'ouverture, 12.03, 12.16 for Danielle Dumichel. And Laurence Paquet looking for a little bit of a draft on that backstretch, but Dumichel starting to pull away. Should be an interesting finish.
Just 13/100ths of a second separated the two. Once again, almost stride for stride coming down the line. Coming up on the inner, Paquet trying to take it. Dumichel holding her off. Dumichel's going to take this one. 42.87, good enough for 17th. And Paquet, 43.33 in 18th.
Laurence Paquet from Quebec does most of her training outdoors.
Olivia, sorry, go ahead.
That won't be for very long as they are building a brand new indoor facility in Sainte Foy.
Imagine the joy of not having to face the elements after doing it for so long.
Absolutely. It will transform the sport of speed skating as there will be an indoor long track facility in Eastern Canada. As we look at our next pair underway, Jenna Mirth in the outer lane leading Olivia Scott in the inner.
11.89 from Mirth. Scott, 12.46 coming down the stretch. Looks like Mirth is moving ahead on that inner lane, using it to her advantage inside of 100 meters to go. Mirth both arms down, Scott both arms down. Mirth is going to take the pair. It's going to be a matter of the time. 43.24, 43.76 for Scott. We've seen how Quebec has the factory of churning out short track speed skaters for Canada. Now with an indoor oval on its way there potentially, what might that do for that whole program out there?
It will completely transform long track speed skating in Canada. Currently, there is a national training center in Quebec City, and some very good skaters train there. Laurence Boy, Alex Boisvert-Lacroix, to name just a few, train outdoors out of Quebec City and win World Cup medals. Getting ahead of myself there. We'll see in a month and a half.
Molly Johnson, Kirsten Hagen tied through the opening 100 meters, 12-12. See how the next 400 unfolds. Close off the start, the two skaters. Johnson from Alberta, Hagen from BC. Very close as they round the corner. Not much separating the two. Close off the start, close at the finish, stride for stride to the line. 43.37 Hagen, 43.38 Johnson.
So 2 personal bests for both skaters in that race. And they're all smiles as they come down the backstretch.
Just how important, you mentioned how lonely it can be if someone skates alone. How important is it to have someone to either sort of chase down or just go stride for stride with?
It can be extremely important. It's one of the interesting things about Olympic-style long track speed skating is that even though it is a time trial, skaters race side by side and get to judge their speed off each other, challenge each other, push each other to the line.
Now up on the track, Anna Bourgeois from Alberta and Shruti Kotwal in the 12th pair from India.
They come through. Anna Bourgeois with the lead, 12:21 her opening split, 12:58 for Kotwal as they move into the backstretch.
See some of these skater from India. We've seen skaters from New Zealand, and be interesting to see some of these places maybe get their own oval one day. How fun would that be?
That would be amazing.
It's going to be Bourgeois coming down inside 500 meters. Kotwal chasing her down, closing that gap a little bit. It's going to be Bourgeois taking it. 43.89, 44.65 for Kotwal.
Bourgeois looked happy with that one. She came across the line just shy of her personal best.
So that's 12 of 25 pairs in the books. Just about at the halfway mark. Now up, Janelle Wiebe from Alberta taking on Rosanne Grenier from Quebec.
Skaters racing over 500 meters. They will skate a 100-meter opener, so down the home stretch once, and then a full lap.
Just as a barometer of where they are, the current leading time pulls are 39.83. The current world record is Lee Song-hwa, 36.36 from South Korea. So, a couple seconds away. But of course, a second is an eternity in this sport.
Particularly in the sprint distances. As Rosanne Grenier mène dans les premiers 100 mètres. She's leading the way, 12.51. 12.48 for Wiebe. So Wiebe actually leading. My mistake.
Grenier, though, has that advantage now coming along the inner lane. We'll see if she's able to use that to her advantage. Another close finish. We've had a number of these. It's been a great day in the women's 500 meters. It's Grenier out in front a little bit. Wiebe having to chase her down a little bit, coming up to the line. Grenier takes it. 44.11, 44.35 for Wiebe. So many pairs within a couple tenths of a second of each other.
Well matched races here this morning at the Olympic Oval. As we now move on to the next pair, this is Susanna Nedelyakova from Alberta and Kennedy Charles from Manitoba. Two young junior skaters facing off here in this race, and they're clean off the line. Look like Kennedy Charles got a good jump off the gun, and she will lead the way through the first 100. Her opening split, 12.19, 12.25 for Nedelyakova.
Another close start, though. Both within a couple hundredths of a second of each other. Charles now looks like she does get a chance to try to get some of that draft, but Nedelyakova moving to the outside lane pretty quickly.
As they now move into the final corner, trying to hang on to this speed. Stay low, keep those feet moving as Nedelyakova carving out a big lead into the final stretch her time 44:22, Charles 45:07.
Next up, pair 15 of
So Zuzana Nedeljkova just missing her personal best with that time, but a good race from her.
Pair 15 now coming up. Amanda Mitchell from British Columbia against Vanessa Coutu from Saskatchewan. I always like these ones. They let us know what their province is based on their arm colors.
Absolutely. Amanda Mitchell in the inner lane from BC wearing classic BC colors of yellow, red, and blue.
It's going to be Coutu taking the first 100 meters. Big jump on her, 11:71, 12:45 for Mitchell.
It's a great opening split from Vanessa Coutu, and she's going to use it to go over the top of her pair on the backstretch.
In a race like the 500, when you know you have that kind of advantage in the field, where you know you're going over the top, does that just fuel you down the last couple hundred meters?
Absolutely. To be right behind or even pass your pair on the backstretch can be a huge mental advantage.
A little wobble there from Coutu coming up to take the line. She goes 44.34, 44.92. So Mitchell closed it up a little bit coming down the stretch.
So Vanessa Coutu took that pair with the blazing opener. The skater in the inner lane, when they know there's a faster skater in the outer, will always be nervous because they know they're going to be coming around that outer corner. It could be a tight crossover.
Now up, Annika Marshall from Saskatchewan taking on Lily Weidman from Ontario. Clean start from the two of them. Looks like it was Weidman getting a bit of a jump off the start. Going to be another close 100 meters. We've been blessed with some really good races through this women's 500 meters.
Through 100, it's Weidman leading the way, 12:04, 12:27 for Marshall. So Weidman setting up a little bit of a draft on that backstretch. So both skaters with good weight transfer on that backstretch. The key in speed skating is to push with not only your leg strength, but use your entire body weight to drive those skates forwards.
Weidman comes to take this one, 44.12, 44.63 for Annika Marshall. So Weidman pulled out a little bit of a gap there.
And with that time, she skated a personal best, just narrowly beating her previous time. So good finish for Lily Weidman.
Pair 17 now. Looks like it's all by herself. Emma Stevens casting a lonely shadow there.
So Renee Kalkman is scratch in this race. Stevens racing on her own in the outer.
So this is the first time we've seen someone racing by themselves. Is this something you've experienced? What's going through your mind when it's just me?
Often skaters will try and position this sort of situation as an advantage. We'll try and look at it optimistically. It's a chance to race without worrying about anything else. Focus on their own race, on their own technique. But it can be quite a lonely few laps out there when you're on your own.
Guess it's a good thing maybe it's not a 10K all by herself or a 5K all by herself right now as she comes to the line.
So Emma Stevens crossing her final time. It looks like we just missed it. So it was a system malfunction.
Just waiting on the time now. I don't think she knows yet. But we'll move on to the next pair right away. Emma Javra on the inner lane. Jasmine Chase on the outer. Manitoba against an Ontario skater.
So our graphics will be out in these pairs.
We'll have to pay attention here.
If you're following at home, grab your stopwatch.
That might be a stretch, but trust that we know what's going on. I trust Leo more than myself. Looks like we have a bit of a delay here.
So they were holding the start, perhaps because of this minor technical issue.
There you go. Kira Polzer still leading 1/100th of a second over Madison Pierman. Brooklyn McDougall and Beatrice Lamarche all within, look at that, less than 0.2 of a second separate the top four.
So even if we miss the times and you don't see them up on your screen, they are still being recorded. Usually there are several layers, so there is a digital time, a laser time, as well as manual timing as backup. So you can always look at the final results at results.oval.ucalgary.ca. You can also follow live results as they come up from the Oval website.
Always some options there. If you just get tired of hearing us talking, there are ways to get it in complete silence.
So Polzer has the time to beat 39.83 as we move on to the next pair. Looks like we are underway.
Emma Javra on the inner, Jasmine Chase on the outer. Keep an eye on the clocker. We'll be doing that for you. 12:79, 12:83.
So Chase leading the way, but it is tight through 100 meters. So who has the faster lap as they cross over on that backstretch? Skaters do one inner corner, one outer corner for a total of 400 meters per lap.
And it is coming down this home stretch. It looks like it is Chase pulling away a little bit, powering to the line. It was close through the first 100 meters. She's pulled out a bit of a gap. She'll take the pair, 44.93, Javra 46.51.
So a bit of a challenge in that race for both skaters, having to hold up and wait before their start because of technical issues. It's part of the learning process. Athletes have to be ready for any eventuality. You never know what happens. You can't control everything.
Next one up is ready to go. No delay here. Pair 19, Stephanie Spicer on the inner lane from Alberta. Hannah Brunn from BC on the outer.
Clean start off the line. Looks like Brunn in the outer lane got a good jump, and she will lead the way through the first 100 meters. Her opening split 12:23, 12:31 for Spicer.
Another very close one. Let's see. There is that draft again if you can get it, but Brunn chasing down Spicer down the back stretch.
Smart move from Stephanie Spicer to move straight into the outer lane as she crossed over. She took away any opportunity for a draft from Hannah Brunn.
Now Brunn chasing her down, trying to close that little bit of a gap. Spicer looks like she's going to take the pair. She crosses the line, 44.45, 45.59 for Brunn, 29th and 35th places respectively.
Moving on now, our 20th pair of 25. This is Cassidy Peterson and Sophie Pett, both skaters from Alberta. So a intra-provincial battle here between Peterson and Pett.
Do skaters have sort of people they choose to want to race against? Is there always sort of a preferred pair in a particular race?
The skaters don't get to choose themselves who they are paired against, but most skaters do have a few rivals. And you generally want to be paired with someone who is maybe even just a little bit better than you, someone you can chase to a good time.
Well, we've had some great races, so whoever did the drawing or the pairing for today did a pretty good job, as there have been a number of great races as Pett and Peterson coming down the back stretch, or down the corners for the final time, down final 100 meters to go. Pett was first after the first 100 meters. She's going to chase her way to the finish, and it's Peterson who takes it, 44.41, 46.07 for Pett.
44.41 is a personal best for Cassidy Peterson. 0.2 of a second off her previous time, so great race for Peterson. So even as we move down into the bottom half of these pairs, skaters still flying. Skating PBs.
An all Manitoba battle now on the track in pair 21. Ashley Hanna against Elliot Gana.
Oh, and a little slip there on the outer lane from Gana.
Still taking the first 100 meters, though looks like it didn't curtail her speed too much. Gana 12:26, Ashley Hanna 12:57.
Very quick opener from Elliot Ganas. And another little slip from her there as she came out of that corner. She's maintaining her speed. Hannah's going to try and keep up on this outer as they move into the final stretch.
It is Gana still with the lead. A couple of speedy wobbles there, but she's going to win this pair. Going away, coming to the line, 44.74, 45.63. So Leo, a couple little wobbles there, didn't lose too much speed for her.
Well, she still pulled out a great time. That's a personal best for her.
We saw one of those in the men's 500 where there were a couple wobbles, but still going as fast this time. So I guess it's just an indication of I'm not used to going this fast.
It could be. Sometimes a wobble can sort of take you out of your, before a wobble you're all nervous, and then afterwards you say, screw it, I'll be fine, and you just race the rest of the race without thinking.
Looks like a false start here. Both white and red flags. Both are, of course, charged a false start. Brooke Braun on the inner lane from BC. Victoria Goplin from Alberta on the outer. Now they're both playing with fire on that false start.
The next false start in this pair will be disqualified. We haven't seen that yet this morning. And both skaters cautious off the line. So it is a clean start. Braun and Goplin through the first 100 meters.
Looks like it's going to be Braun who's having a fine first 100 meters. She leads the pair through the line at the bell. 11.96, 12.69 for Goplin.
So
Pardon
blazing.
me, flip that. Goplin, 11.96, 12.69 for Braun.
Blazing opener from Victoria Goplin. As they cross over in the backstretch, Goplin will beat her pair to the corner. As she finishes on the inner shorter track, she will win this race. Just to watch out with that line, skaters must stay within their lane. Skates aren't allowed to cross it. As Goplin will take it 43.62, big personal best for her. Brooke Braun, 45.90.
22nd place for Goplin. Couple more to go, 3 pairs left. And then we'll have another little pause, and then the men's 1500. And that one will be fun as there are quads that will be out. So we'll try to manage the chaos for you.
4 skaters on the line, on the ice at the same time in a very quick race.
Yasmin Uden on the inner from Alberta against Brianne Chipawink on the outer from Saskatchewan.
And it's Chipawink in the outer lane leading the way through 100. Her opening split, 11.88, 12.30 for Uden. As these skaters get going in this fastest of the sprint races into the final corner.
Chipawink's pulled the gap back. Now on the inner lane, looking to cement her lead as she comes down the home stretch. Uden trying to chase her down, but it's Chipawink coming to the line. She'll clock in with a time of 45.59. Uden 46.39, 38th and 43rd places respectively.
So good race from both skaters. Chipawink just missing her personal best. Still a good time for her. As we move on to the next pair. Rachel Freitag from Ontario in the inner. Laura Hall from BC in the outer. It's a clean start off the line for both skaters. Interesting contrast in leg movement from both skaters. Some skaters look for long and powerful strides, some for quick and choppy ones.
That's Freitag pulling out an early advantage. Pulled out quite the gap in the first 100 meters. See if she can keep that leg speed going as she moves into the outer lane. 12:31 opening 100, 13:26 for Laura Hall. Now we'll have to try to chase her down on the inner lane as they come up to the line. Still Freitag holding on.
So Freitag leading the way over Hall into the final stretch. She will finish up with the final time of 45.88. Hall will finish up her final time 48.38.
Next up in the final race today.
It's a good race for both skaters.
And now the last pair of the women's 500 meters. Pulser, Pierman, McDougall, still your top three. And it's Alexa Anika against Jessica Conrad from Alberta on the outer lane.
So you see some of the noontime sun shining through the windows here at the Olympic Oval.
And it's
Beautiful day here in Calgary.
And it's Anika taking the early advantage after 100 meters. Conrad trying to chase her down. 12:82, 13:76 for Conrad.
So Alexa Anika chasing a personal best of 48.5. So she'll be looking to beat that here today as she leads her pair into the final corner.
And it's Anika with the lead, carrying it around the corner. Inside of 100 meters to go. Conrad trying to chase her down.
Both skaters looking strong with 100 to go. Conrad gaining ground, but Anika will hold her off at the line. Final time, 46.9. Personal best for Alexa Anika. Jessica Conrad, 48.2. Also, just missing her PB.
So there you go. There are the results from the second Canada Cup women's 500 meters. Kira Polzer from Alberta, 39.83. Madison Pierman just a hundredth of a second behind, 39.84. Brooklyn McDougall rounds things off with a 40-second flat time. All very close there through the top four. That will wrap things up, Leo. Some very good races in the women's 500 meters. A lot of close ones that made it fun.
Absolutely. A handful of personal bests as well.
We're going to wrap things up here. It's still a long way to go here. Two 1,500-meter disciplines, men's and women's, and then, of course, the main event tonight with the Canadian Single Distance Championship. So we are going to take another quick break. Racing resumes here at 12:30 Mountain Time. That's 2:30 Eastern and 11:30 on the West Coast. And hope you've enjoyed things so far, and we'll be back soon. Thanks, everyone.